It's called the Button Farm Living History Center because the Button family were the last landholders here. My name is Anthony Cohen. I'm president of the Menare Foundation, Inc. Our foundation's name, Menare, M-E-N-A-R-E, was actually a passcode used on the Underground Railroad. And when we were looking for a name for our organization and came across that word in old slave narrative, we decided to take it as a symbol of the ongoing quest for freedom. The story of the farm actually starts about 15 years ago. I'll give you a little bit of background on our project. In 1996, as a budding historian, I documented, reconstructed, and walked a route of the Underground Railroad from Maryland to Canada. And it was part of a school project, my senior project at American University. And I wanted to see if I could recapture history by walking in its footsteps. The Underground Railroad was attractive to me because of its secretive nature, the fact that it was a part fact, maybe part fiction, certainly in the realms of our cultural mythology, and I wanted to sort some of that out. I wanted to actually get a sense of what it was like to actually be a runaway slave. I had been walking the path, seeing the towns along the way, talking to descendants of the fugitives and also the abolitionists who had aided them on their journey, but I wasn't getting a real tangible feel for what that journey was like. So when I reached Philadelphia, I was reminded of a famous story from the Underground Railroad where a man named Henry Box Brown, a slave from Richmond, Virginia, who had himself crated and actually shipped to the north. Philadelphia was where he arrived. And I decided that that might actually be the answer to my dilemma. What if I were to get a crate, put myself inside, and actually have it smuggled onto a train without anyone knowing? We constructed the crate. I was placed inside and then taken to the 30th Street train station in Philadelphia, and with the intent of being put aboard a train for a 2-hour train ride to New York City. As all good adventures on the Underground Railroad, it just didn't quite turn out as I expected. We missed the first train. I ended up stuck in my crate for a total of 6.5 hours on what turned out to be the hottest day of the year. The crate, and I'll just demonstrate what it's like to actually travel by crate. Don't try this at home. It's kind of comfortable for a minute. You can see there's carpeting on the wall that was put there so I wouldn't get too scratched up or poked by nails or splinters. As my journey progressed, the temperatures that day, May 17th, 1996, went from a morning temperature in the 60s to a peak temperature of 99 degrees when I reached New York City. And the temperature inside of the crate was always about 10 degrees warmer. I think I better come out now. Thank you. And it was a pretty harrowing journey. During the time I was moved around the train station. At one time, baggage handlers came and actually sat on top of the crate, not knowing what was inside. The crate was actually mislabeled and would have been shipped to Boston instead of New York were it not for two of my accomplices who actually traveled on the same train, riding in coach while I was in freight, and rescuing me before the train left the station in New York. I can't even imagine what went through the mind of someone like Henry Box Brown while in this crate. I knew where I was headed to. I knew that freedom awaited me. He had no such guarantee or luxury. It was a very humbling experience. But again, don't try this at home.